A couple was diving in the sea. The men unintentionally picked up a golden knife. Then they found an airplane nearby. Inside of the plane was a whole. The story started 3 days ago. Jared Cole was a diving coach. His girlfriend, Samantha, was a shark foster staff. Their feelings for each other were really deep. Although Jared was so poor, all he had was an old boat. Sam didn't care about that. Jared used to work for a captain looking for treasure. 10 years ago, a big storm messed the ocean up and revealed some valuable antiques. That year, the captain also found a treasure. That made him so rich. At that time, he did not only have a huge boat, but also hundreds of employees. A heavy storm has occurred recently. Therefore, the captain invited Jared to join his team, but got rejected. Jared was about to repair his boat and find the treasure by himself. He knew that his best friend Bryce was back here for a vacation, and even brought his girlfriend Amanda. Bryce was a lawyer. He even owned a mansion next to the sea. It turned out that he helped a gang leader defend against a lawsuit, so the leader gave him this mansion as a bonus. More importantly, these ships were also given to him. Jared was so excited, because he could finally sail to the sea for treasure. 4 of them got on the ship enjoying the time to the sea. During that time, Jared incautiously dropped his watch into the water. Then he dived into the water, and discovered the kind of stone that the ancients used to put on the boat compartment, which meant that there must be a shipwreck for centuries nearby. Jared immediately took his friends to the sea to look for treasure. Expectedly, they found tons of antiques. Moreover, Jared even saw a golden knife. He continued to search the bottom of the sea, and saw a twinkling light not far away. Jared then followed the ruins, and the thing he saw was an airplane. The rest of them came with flashlights to explore. Finally, they saw a bunch of drugs in the airplane. Bryce and his girlfriend wanted to take all these drugs, but Jared and Sam strongly denied. Their goal was not to commit unlawful activities, but to explore the treasures. But if they called the police, this area would be blocked off by the Coast Guard, which meant the plan for treasure must be stopped. So Jared decided to look for the treasure first, and then call the police. The next day, they brought some equipment, and kept diving in the sea. Bryce used a metal detector to search for antiques. Jared used the sand blaster, and found some more. They looked around and collected a lot. When everyone didn't pay attention, Amanda felt regret about the drugs, so she swam into the plane. But her oxygen tank unintentionally got crashed, which put her in danger. When Jared came back to the ship and didn't see Amanda, he felt something wrong, so he immediately dived into the plane. Amanda got saved. Jared and his girlfriend were swimming around, and luckily found a golden knife. They investigated the knife based on the words on it. Jared found out that this knife belonged to a famous pirate 100 years ago. According to their guess, this ship most likely belonged to a wealthy merchant that year. During the Civil War, this merchant brought all of his possessions on the ship and ran away. However, he met the pirate on the way and got drowned. Jared was determined that everything they had found was a legendary treasure. Unexpectedly, when 4 of them were looking for treasure, there were 2 guys out there who have been aiming them. While they were in the sea, these guys came to the ship and rummaged. Jared and Bryce felt something wrong, so they both came back to the ship and kicked them out. From the hat that was left, Jared realized they must be ones of the captain's subordinates. So he then came and asked him, but then this guy denied it. This made Jared feel that something dangerous was coming. If they didn't speed things up, the treasure would be discovered by the captain sooner or later. Sadly, they just didn't have enough money to buy advanced equipment. Bryce took the opportunity and offered to sell the drugs. Just selling some of the drugs, they would have enough money to buy advanced equipment to dig that treasures. Looking at his lawyer friend who had years of experience defending drug dealers, Jared was actually thinking about it. He didn't want to miss the treasures that were already able to gain. However, he still denied Bryce's offer in the end. It was unexpected that Bryce and Amanda decided to sell the drugs themselves. That night, they silently took a big bag of drugs, and came to the drug dealer that Amanda knew. Unfortunately, they actively came to find a way to die. Bryce and Amanda immediately got arrested by the drug dealers. After knowing this, Jared came to save them. It turned out that those drugs belonged to this drug baron. After the plane got crashed, they have been searching for the drugs, but they couldn't find any. Now Bryce's team came on their own that gave the baron some hope. The baron gave Jared 12 hours to give them all the drugs back. Otherwise, they would be in trouble. Jared had no choice, so he had to take a risk. Also, he told the baron to give him $30,000 to buy advanced equipment. Sam didn't want to get involved in illegal activities, so she refused to do it with them. Bryce and Amanda were transporting the drugs in the sea, and didn't notice a shark was coming silently. Suddenly, somebody screamed out loud. Jared was rushing to save both of them. Amanda got attacked by the shark and her leg got bit off. During the urgent situation, Jared cut the ropes that tied the drugs, and brought Amanda to the hospital. However, she couldn't survive. Sam knew that bad news, so she immediately came to the hospital, and consoled Jared. They kept arguing non-stop. At that point, the baron's team also came with guns to get the drugs. The 3 panicked and drove away. Jared asked Bryce and Sam to drive away first. He would stay and negotiate with these drug dealers. But Sam got off the car on the way, and asked her friend who was a Coast Guard for help. After hesitating for a while, Bryce decided to drive away. Jared gave all of his treasures to the drug dealers. They were happy coming back to their ship, but it was robbed. Finally, these drug dealers got shot to death. It turned out that the captain was aiming these drugs as well. That was why he killed the Baron and took over the drugs. At first, when Jared was buying equipment, the captain heard something. So he sent his subordinates out to follow Jared and see whether Jared has found the drugs. Jared felt something wrong here. So when the captain was paying attention, Jared jumped into the water to escape. Unfortunately, Sam's Coast Guard friend teamed up with the captain. Sam was taken hostage. It was so hard for Jared to escape, but then he had no choice, so he must come back to save Sam. He convinced Bryce to go with. First of all, they killed a subordinate. Then he stabbed another one in his eye. Taking advantage of being attracted to blood, he made the opponent become shark's food. Sam was dragged into the sea by another crew member. She decided to do Jared's way. When the shark was about to attack, she kicked the crewman out, which caused him to be eaten by the shark. At the same time, Sam and Bryce were out of danger. Only Jared and the captain were fighting. During the battle, they both fell into the plane. While Jared has already prepared a trap, the captain's bullet was not even in the gun yet. Jared has shot an oxygen tank to explode the plane. The captain died immediately in the explosion. Jared was lucky to get out of it timely. 6 months later, Jared and his friend still salvaged the shipwreck. When salvaging the cannon, the ropes were not strong enough, so they broke. Then the cannon dropped straight to the sea and hit the boat, which exposed a bunch of gold. Eventually, they found a treasure worth $600 million. This is the end of our movie today. Thank you for supporting our fan page.